right, friends, we are back. Your favorite podcast show of the week. It's Location Weekly. It's episode number 562, and we're recording on March the 29th. Yes, it is almost the end of another month, and spring is upon us. Brianna, how are you?
Hanging in there. It's like just such a busy time of year, everything's
Yeah.
changing, and then I can't keep up because one moment it's like flurrying snow and the next moment it's hot and sunny. My kids are in shorts and a t-shirt. It's just like my body temperature is confused, my mind is confused, like what's going on? I don't know. That's how I feel. Soon it will be
Good.
settled.
That's spring in the East Coast, right? Same up here in Toronto. It's we had a bit of snow yesterday in the morning, and today it's like warm and sunshine, and there's nothing around. Tomorrow's supposed to be really warm. I don't know. It's just, and then it'll be back. It's just up and down, right? It's that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway. All right. Well, let's jump right into it. So we've got four stories today. Some interesting things, a little different than normal. So I'll let you kick it off.
All right. Well, many of us watched the Oscars Sunday night, and there were some exciting highlights beyond Will Smith slapping, was that Chris Tucker? And so it was a big moment for the deaf and hard of hearing community, with Coda taking home some big wins. They took home Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor, in which Troy Kotsur made history as only the second person deaf actor to take home an Academy Award. So all of that was really fun. I was able to watch it. My brother was here visiting for the evening. We were watching it together. But what was really cool is that Snap, their deaf and hard of hearing internal employee group, partnered with SignAll. And SignAll, I had not heard of them before, but they are a group of developers and designers, and they create these immersive AR finger spelling filters. And they, are helping connect deaf and hearing impaired users. So Snap aired a spot in support of the 400 million plus people around the world who are deaf and hard of hearing. And the commercial showed this array of different people that, identify in that community. And they used American Sign Language, or ASL, to spell out congrats on their screen. So they use Snap's finger spelling AR tools, which was really cool. And this was Snap's first ever Oscar ad, I'm remembering my sign language. So it was really cool. I had this like moment with me and my brother were watching this, and I was like, this is so cool. We were thinking back to when we were growing up, and my mom always used to sing in church. And when she would sing, she would do sign language as well. And we didn't have anyone in our near, family or friend community that was deaf or hearing impaired, but we always just thought it was cool. And she taught us the alphabet. So we were like going through, remembering, A, B, C, D, like all of our signs. And it was really cool. And just seeing, it was a very like emotional time seeing this, the nominee and winning the prize and everything. But obviously this campaign was inspired by the two Oscar nominated pictures, obviously Coda, which won. And then there was another Netflix picture that is called Audible, and it was like nominated for Best Documentary, and it was about Maryland School for the Deaf. But I love this because they brought together machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing algorithms, all these like really cool things with their lenses, with Snap's lenses, and they had the equipped it with the hand tracking technology. And this is not only, I think, allowing the deaf and hearing impaired community be part of Snap, but it's also helping those who just want to learn or want to connect with those people as friends, and using ASL. So many of us didn't grow up or know that, but we have the ability to kind of connect with those people. And I love how they brought all of that together. It was really, really cool. So I love the purpose, and I also love the technology behind it. So this was like a fun story for me, and I'm glad we got to share it today.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot more to add to it other than this is super cool. It's super amazing that they're taking all these different technologies. I love especially the sort of the gesture-based aspects of this, kind of pulling that in, in AI, kind of all combining together to make this happen with their lenses. I like that they're going after this not just for that community, but also for the general, sort of population to help them understand, and learn ASL as well. I think, the more people that, are investing in trying to understand others outside of their own, communities, the better. Um, I was reading in the article, Snapscot, in their mission statement, their broader mission statement, that one of their goals is to scale empathy through education. And I think that's really cool. That's a really amazing statement, to scale empathy. I mean, I don't know how many companies have that as part of their mission statement, but that's really really interesting, and hit home with me. And I think it, at the end of the day, um, there's a lot of wins here, right? Yeah, yes, Coda, wins those Oscars, but I think it's also to like, the fact that the streaming services are really starting to make a name for themselves. I mean, that's obviously produced by Apple TV, and to see a streaming service, sort of win a Best Picture, Oscar over a traditional studio, I think that is also a statement. And to do it in a way with a film that really targets and highlights, an audience in our broader community that you know needs more attention, right? And I think the more we can, sort of be one, and inclusivity and all of that, the better. And I think if technology can enable that to happen faster, better, and pull people together, then why not? So I love that Snap's kind of behind this, and I love that mission statement. So it's pretty cool. All righty, on to our second story now. Completely different. No, not about empathy here. Maybe for some of the workers, but here we're talking about Instacart. Has partnered with one of our LBMA members, which is called Oriient, and that's spelled ORII there, ENT. And they're based in Israel, and focused on the indoor GPS, indoor location technology space. So Instacart obviously is well known in the grocery delivery space, doing a lot of work with a lot of retailers in that category. But all those people that have to go and pick and pack and sort of do that in those stores, and get the orders together and get them out on time, and making sure that delivery times are met and all of that, is a challenge, right? And so what's happening here is within the Instacart app, they've now integrated Orient's indoor GPS tech, so that it's quicker and easier to find all the items on the list within the store. So this is indoor navigation within the store to know exactly where certain products are, and it's all baked directly into the Instacart app for those users. It's available in hundreds of stores, and it's got stored layouts, it's got inventory, it's got all that sort of stuff tied in there, and it remembers where things are, as it gets used as well. So it doesn't have to kind of go and figure that out every time, and is bringing them to the precise place and shelf where that product is available. So to me, this is about efficiencies. It's about getting those orders picked and packed and out and delivered on time, and making the lives easier for those workers that have to do that. So I kind of like it. I think it's really interesting. What are your thoughts?
No, I think this is great. And I think this is great use of the location and indoor location, not only for Instacart shoppers, but I could also see this just as a shopper in any store. And if it is something that would be available via something that you perhaps typically use, maybe through a different method, even though maybe you're not an Instacart shopper, in terms of like you're the buyer and the delivery Instacart person, I think it's great. Like we all have a hard time navigating the stores that we don't go to often or are new. And, I think that when you're trying to get a bunch of different items in a hurry, it's like hard to find certain things sometimes. And the way that different grocers categorize them is very, very different. And obviously with Instacart working with so many different supermarkets and grocers, it's really important that they are able to find what's what. So I think it's a great application of this technology. And I think, we have traditionally seen this be direct to consumer, and the fact that this is, or it's been more in like manufacturing, right? So I like that this technology is more for an employee play here. for more of the gig economy. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. And as you pointed out, the consumer play, that's been around for a little while. Even companies like Al 411 and others, were in that space, not just in grocery. I know they'd worked with Toys R Us back in the day and Home Depot and, indoor navigation and some of those types of retailers. But I think focusing on the workers and, efficiencies there is interesting. The quick little sidebar story in a completely different announcement. I saw Instacart earlier this week announce something called Instacart platform, which is essentially they're opening up all of their tech, like and their data, to retailers to use to optimize their own digital properties and retail operations. So like their e-commerce platform, their fulfillment platform, kind of like what we had talked about a little while ago with what Amazon was starting to do with some of their merchants. Instacart's also now kind of doing that and providing more insights from their data side and in-store sort of experiential offerings. So perhaps this indoor GPS piece from Orient will also be offered, to your point, directly to some of the retailers through Instacart platform as well, that they can use on their own in a consumer play. So
very cool.
You never know. Yeah.
Well, staying on the location technology trend, we're seeing Philadelphia's transportation department. They're using location data now for real-time bus arrival information, and they're incorporating this in a way that's tied to digital out of home, if you will. So basically, we're seeing like this real-time information that's appearing on these big screens at bus stops that we've seen all around Philadelphia, and it will give you a better estimate on how long it's going, to be for your bus to arrive. So the displays are using the SEPTA location data, but the boards are actually run out of the city's Office of Transportation, Infrastructure, and Sustainability, or OTIS. And they're working through an ad tech platform called Intersection, and they manage display on the bus shelters throughout Philadelphia. So there's about 60 bus shelters that's going to be showing real-time information by the spring, they're saying. And they're showing that it'll show like the next 8 vehicles that will be arriving, how many minutes away it is, what's the bus route, whether it's running on time, typical things that I think you see a lot of times through like the train app or whatever you might be using, but it's right there on the display, which is really nice. Obviously this is not new technology or new incorporation, but it's already part of like the mainstay of the bus systems in a lot of other major cities. I think they've been active here in New York since 2007, and Seattle started the bus displays back in 2015. And the company that they're working with, Intersection, is based here in New York, and it's actually formed from the merging of Titan Advertising and then a tech design firm that's called Control Group. So they have this agreement with the city of Philadelphia. It's a 20-year contract. And they're going to replace about 300 of the existing shelter technology and signs and putting in new ones. And the contract will give, the city is guaranteeing them at least $52 million in ad revenue over the lifetime of the deal, which is obviously a hefty chunk of change. And I think that this was really interesting to me as I think about, Samsung ads getting into digital out of home and just all the other players that are starting to kind of embrace digital out of home as part of what they do. Whereas we've had some players like Clear Channel Outdoor who have been doing out of home for a very long time, kind of that took that as the first step and then foraying into the digital piece. So it's interesting to kind of see how this is like moving through city planning now and giving back to the city, as well as enabling just citizens to get around, right? And helping with kind of more of a smart city play. Again, I don't think this is any type of new technology. It's not groundbreaking, but it is useful. I mean, I use the displays all the time to see if the train's running on time, what time is it arriving? And sometimes it's updated in the app, but sometimes it's not. So being able to have it in multiple places, I think is very beneficial. And yeah, I mean, I think that the terms of the agreement are good and fair for both the city, obviously, and the advertising that's running on it.
Yeah, I think so it's a couple things. So I think obviously we've been talking on the show for, a year or more now about sort of this rise of, different use cases for digital out of home and real-time data, being pushed to screens. And I think this is just one good example of that, that, is obviously beneficial to the city and to citizens. I think overall, we're seeing a trend around sort of real time traffic data, real time fares and bus schedules and things like that. I know, as I was listening to you, I know in the UK there's a standard that's underway right now called BODS, which is I gotta find out what it's Bus Open Data Service, I think, something like that. And so they're pushing in England right now to have like an open data service for all transportation systems over there as well. And there are several technology companies that are working to kind of, deliver real time, information as to where buses are and schedules and fares and all that kind of stuff related to that. So I think, having access to that data, and then B, like figuring out ways, whether it's digital out of home or, in mobile apps or through advertising or what have you, to kind of incorporate that data. I think it's all about, saving people time, money, convenience, right? And just making people's lives easier overall. So I'm always a big proponent for, open data in this way, especially when it's, things like this, that we're relying on these services. And I know, like, even here in Toronto where I am, there's an open data policy around different types of government data, traffic cameras and other kinds of things, as well. That, there's a general sort of sense of, it's here. Let the technology company come around it and find ways to utilize it, and citizens to benefit from it. So I like stories like this. Alrighty, our final story then for this week is about a startup that is called Mavi, M-A-V-I. It's Mavi.io is their website, and they've launched an app called OnMyWay, which is all about ordering things from your car. So it's a new in-car commerce app that lets you shop basically from your car dashboard, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. So it works by calculating a user's optimal location to order from, using factors like your route, your destination, your timing, along with the store or the restaurant's current real-time inventory, as well. So it's again about time and money and convenience for people. They're currently piloting this with two chains, one called BurgerFi, which is one word, BurgerFi, and then Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza and Wings, which I believe are both U.S. Players, because I've seen a BurgerFi when I've been driving around. Yeah, so basically drivers can use Mavi. They request their connected cars. You can order, you can pay, you can coordinate, pickup, through this system. You know, so I'm on the one hand, I think as from a service perspective, I think ordering things while you're driving and optimizing routes and handling payments, I think that's a good thing. We're all time starved, and if we can, stop along the way on our drive home to pick something up and have it all ready to go, we just walk in and grab it, that's a good thing. This is not new stuff. This is a new app, but obviously, years ago on this show, we were talking about, what GM was doing with their OnStar technology, and kind of concierge-based services like this. We talked about Harman Radio, digitally playing around with ordering and payments. We've talked about a lot of the the fuel companies, starting to get aligned right now around paying for your gas, through your car before so you don't have to get out and tap or put a card in or do anything else, right? It's all kind of just done, and you just fill up and go. So I think this idea of in-car commerce is a big field, and it's been there for a while. So I guess for me, I look at this and go, I like it. It's functional. It's useful. I don't know how much traction they're going to get against sort of stuff that's sort of native to the vehicle, or part of what you're doing with Waze or something else, right? What are your thoughts?
No, completely agree. I was thinking about how, you know, the seamlessness of anything is so important, and being able to wrap that into something. So using it in the way that I'm already driving, which is using Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps or something like that, that's navigating me, and being able to have that concierge service, I think is very valuable. But having it apart from that, I think is challenging for sure. And gaining that adoption, I can see as being, really, really hard to come by. But I do think that anything that you could do that's voice, right? That's has voice interaction,
Yep.
because you are driving and not having to touch anything, not having to go through like, hey, yes, I want to order something, but I want to do it by voice because I'm driving and I have my kids in the car and I'm going to be a safe driver and I want it to be ready when I get there. But I don't want to have to go through and do everything by hand. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. But I think that in terms of being able to incorporate it into the ways that we already live our life is a great approach, rather than depending on adoption of an individual app. So completely agree there. But I like some of the features and functionality. I could see ways adopting this or picking it up or building it themselves.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that's our show for this week. You've been listening and watching episode number 562 of Location Weekly. Thank you, everybody, again, for your time. We appreciate it. We hope you appreciate it. If you do, reach out to us give us some likes, some love on whatever podcast platform or social media channel you're using these days. And we'll see you next week for another show. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.